Okay, so this is video number 15 of the boxMan tutorial, and it is part 1 and hopefully the only part of animation. Not because I don't like animation. Animation is actually my favorite section out of the entire modeling, texturing, unwrapping, rigging, weight painting, animating process. I mean, I like rigging and animating the best. If I had to choose between those two, I would say animation, because when you animate, you see something basically come to life, either one of your projects or somebody else's project. You give life. Animate really means to give life to something. So I think when I see something that I've made move and it looks and I'm happy with the way it looks, it's one of the best feelings in the world. So. Right now, you should have your amazing boxman at 168 tries. It's okay if he's more or less, but basically you should have him modeled, rigged, textured, unwrapped, everything like that. You should have him nice and neatly organized in the outliner, and you should also have your layers set up accordingly. Your control curves, meaning these blue things, should be set to visible and nothing on the second one. Your IKs and joints should be non-visible and on reference, and your geometry should be visible and being referenced, so we can't accidentally select it and move it. With this setup, this is a typical animating setup. You don't want to move any joints or IKs when you animate. You only want to move the controls that you put into place as a rigger, or that your rigger has assigned to you. Simple animation. Basically, if just fundamentals of animation. So we have the timeline down here at the bottom. A keyframe is represented by a red tick on the timeline. If I want to key only translate, I just select it here with the left mouse button, right click and hold, key selected. It turns orange, meaning that it has input from an animation key. If I select it and check my timeline down here, we can see that as a red tick. That means that has keyframe animation on that specific frame. If I move the time slider over, let's say to 12, I move it up. I'm going to select these again, right click, hold, key selected, and I'll just put it, I want to put it actually back exactly where it was, so it does a loop of bouncing back up and down. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to go back to frame 1, right click and hold, go to copy, go over to frame 24, right click and hold, and go to paste. So now when I play this, it's just going to go back and forth. So basically the type of editor that the animator should become most accustomed with is called the graph editor. Animation, basically all animation can be represented in curves, kind of like these curves, but on a graph. The curves are represented in color, so let me go ahead and bring that up as I'm talking about it. So we have, and I just selected them down like that. We have, okay, so basically these three showed up because they have keyframe information on them. These black dots right here are, zoomed in too far. These black dots are the actual keyframes, so these can be moved around. They're snapping the frames, which is good. And we can basically change their tangents by, I believe, see, this shows you how much I work in the graph editor being an animator. But you can select different tangents by using these buttons up here. I don't want to actually, let's see, oh, okay, there we go. I got one of them, and then you can move it middle mouse button and click, so you can do different types of tangents. And basically, depending on how you set up your tangents will affect how the animation interprets over time. So if I hit play now, we've got this kind of weird jump in it because I've changed the graph curve for the translate Z. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. The main things that you guys need to know about tangents are the type of the start tangent and the end tangent, and also, well, I guess really the middle tangent also. But basically, when you just keyframe stuff in general, it's set up as spline based, which is right here. You can see what all of these mean if you look in the bottom left hand corner right here when you hover over things. If you set stuff to spline, it's going to average out the way it goes. Right now, this would not loop that well because basically on if you tried to loop it, imagine sticking this tangent like this right here. You're going to get like kind of like a hard jump like that. So you would change the tangent. You would kind of like pull. Oops, sorry. You would pull it down kind of like that, and you change this one to go up, something like that, and you would get kind of like a good loop in it. But usually if you leave stuff at spline-based tangents, it works out pretty well. Or you can try flattened tangents like this. See, they both go to a flat curve. So the start and end are the same, so it will loop accordingly. There'll be no snap at the end, and everything is basically how we want it. So that's the graph editor. I just want to talk about I want to talk about just different ways to keyframe stuff and why whenever you use Maya you should never have caps lock on. Caps lock is very evil. It relates mostly to animating because people are using W, E, and R to change their tool mostly. But in Maya, there are just not enough keys on the keyboard to do all the actions. So lowercase letters are a certain hotkey, and also capital letters are a hotkey. So Shift W, here I'm going to go ahead and delete the keyframe, so I'm going to double click here to select them in red, and I'll just right click and cut. You can also delete, but just for some reason cut is engraved in my brain for it because I do cutting and copying so much on there, and I just never repaste it. So right now, if I select this object, do Shift W, it will keyframe translation. Shift E will keyframe rotation. Shift R will keyframe scale. This is very useful, so you don't have to stop. You can move your object like right here, and you don't have to go over here and do this process right like that. You can just move your objects over. Hit Shift W, change the time slider, move it down, hit Shift W again, move it over, and hit Shift W again, and it will do those that interpolation. That's why caps lock is bad, because you'll be wondering why. Like here, I'll turn it on for example. Why this is, oops. So okay, now it's on. Why this manipulator is not changing the E when I'm pressing E. So at the start of that, you notice that all these turn orange. That's because caps lock is on, and it is keyframing those things. So be aware of caps lock. Don't ever have it on. Probably undo is the biggest complaint in addition to that W, E, and R, because Shift E is redo. No, let's see, is it Y? Yeah, so Shift E is redo, and Shift Z is redo. Control Z is undo. So you'll be trying to undo, and you'll just be redoing your actions, and it's just more of a headache. So be aware of what your be aware of caps lock. Be aware of the actions that you're doing, and notice it quickly if something is going wrong. And I guess just save often. That's the other thing. Save almost every two to three actions. I know that. Also it's good to make separate kind of like states in your model. In this tutorial, on each video tutorial, I plan to upload these to YouTube. I'll put a link to a share space online where I have the model done, I have the texture sample done, I have the rig done, and I also have the animation, the start animation, so you guys can mess around with it, and also the end animation, which I'm going to show you guys. So I'm running out of time on this video, and I will finish up the animation section and just do a quick wrap up on this tutorial in the next video. So I'll see you guys then.